The path of the healthy person or the path of the fuck off. Like, this is not, like, your body is like a race car that you can juice up yourself. Like, you can add the fat tires. You can add the improved suspension. You can beef up the horsepower in the engine. You could do all that yourself. Or you could just choose to have this shitty body that's always falling apart on you, because we're essentially ecosystems.
Is there advice you can give to people, to young kids that are living through a shitty situation of any sort, a tough life?
Find a thing you like. Try to find a thing that you really enjoy. Try to find a thing that you're passionate about.
Like an activity.
Yes. For me, early on, it was drawing. It was illustrations. It was comic books. I wanted to be a comic book illustrator. And then it went from comic book drawing and illustrations to martial arts. So, but it was just another thing that I was very, very passionate about. And that was my vehicle out of my dilemma. That was my vehicle out of my own anxiety and trauma and my own issues and insecurities. And find something. Find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial for young people, because it lets you know that, like, everybody thinks they're a loser. Every young person thinks they're a loser. At least a young person in the situation I was at. Like, I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, like, I could get better at stuff, that I wasn't really a loser. I just was someone who was, like, in a fucked up situation. But you could channel all that energy that you have as a young person into something and get better at it. And then all of a sudden people admired me. I was like, this is crazy. So I went from being someone who was incredibly insecure and basically a failure to someone who was really successful at this one thing that was very dangerous. And that gave me immense confidence and also a real understanding of the direct correlation between hard work and success.
And a kind of understanding that you're not a loser.
Right.
That there is a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, and also an understanding that you can't listen to people. Because even my parents didn't want me to do martial arts. They didn't want me to fight. They didn't want me to do stand-up. There's, like, you have to understand, like, who you are. And then in the face of other people's either criticism or, you know, lack of faith in your ability to succeed, you push through, and there's great benefit in that. And then you realize that you can kind of apply that to other things in life. You can apply that to critics. You can apply that to social media commentators. You can apply that to a lot of things.
Okay, what about young people in their 50s? Can you give advice to, like, imagine you're sitting back, probably still here in Texas, in your 90s, looking back, what advice would that guy give to you today? Or, like, people that have done some shit in their 50s, you've gone through a hell of a life. There's potentially some incentive to settle down. You got a great family to relax. But maybe there's some incentive to still do epic shit. Still be David Goggins running in the middle of the desert, screaming shit into a camera.
If you're David Goggins, you have to be David Goggins. I don't think there's a path for that guy that exists at this stage of his life other than that.
Do you think he'll be 70 and still screaming?
Yes. 100%. 100%. If David and I are alive, we're both 70, he's going to call me up and say, "Stay hard, motherfucker." Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
So lean into whatever the fuck you are at this point.
Well, if you're enjoying it, but if you're not enjoying it, rethink your life. Try to figure out why you're not enjoying it.
You still think it's possible to shift things in your 50s?
Yeah. If you're alive, you can get better.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. If you're alive, you can shift things. I mean, if you're 90 years old and, you know, you have a month to live, you can apologize for the things you think you did wrong. and maybe sort of reconcile and shape relationships that you have with the people that are around you better, so that they feel differently about you after you're gone.
Yeah, I always love people in their 70s who are like getting back into dating or something like that.
Yeah. I was watching a video about a woman who's in her 60s who just started powerlifting.
Nice.
Yeah.
And same with jiu-jitsu. You see people get into jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
a white belt that's like 70.
Yeah. There's a lot of, if you're alive, you can get better at stuff. And I don't think people are happy if they don't have puzzles and complex tasks and things that are interesting to them, whether it's an art project or whether it's learning something completely new like stand-up comedy. Like, doing things that are difficult it's as much of a nourishment of the mind as food is a nourishment of the body. I think you need things that are puzzling to you, where you have to find your own human potential in the difficulty of the task and work your way through things. At least for me. For me, I mean, I can only speak for me because I'm the only life that I've ever lived that I'm aware of. And in my life, that has been 100% constant. I am a very happy person, and I have never had a moment where I'm not doing difficult shit.
Yeah.
Ever.
What matters most is how well you walk through the fires. You just keep starting fires for yourself to walk through.
Well, they don't necessarily have to be fires, right? Because fires are like kind of out of control.
Lukewarm
tasks.
Surfaces.
Give yourself something, an arduous, difficult task where you're challenged mentally and challenged physically. One of the great things about being challenged physically is it's also mental. The people that don't understand that have never really been challenged physically. People that think that physical challenges are just physical. It's just brute grunt work. It's not. It's emotional intelligence. It's understanding your desire to quit and conquering your inner bitch. All that stuff it's mental. It's playing out inside your head. And there's a mental strength that you acquire from that you can apply to intellectual pursuits. And the people that don't think that are the people that haven't attempted them. And there's an arrogance to people that only pursue intellectual exercises, only pursue intellectual things, and don't pursue anything physical. That the physical stuff is base, it's grunt work, it's primal, it's not necessary. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that obviously there's people like Stephen Hawking who have no opportunity to do anything physical, right? His physical dilemma is keeping his heart beating.
Your wife is incredible. You're in a relationship. And you're married. You have a great family. What advice would you give to me and to others like me who are dumb fucks and have not found a relationship?
Well, you're a great guy, so this definitely doesn't necessarily apply to you. But be someone who someone would want to be in a relationship with. There's a lot of people out there that want a great partner. They want someone in a relationship, but why would someone want to be in a relationship with you? Maybe you bicker a lot. Maybe you're jealous. Maybe you lie. Maybe maybe you're cruel. Maybe you don't have a sense of humor. Maybe you're not kind. Like, what is it about you that people would not enjoy being around or that people avoid? Fix that. But it's also, you got to find the right person. There's a lot of people who settle for sexy. They settle for hot. They settle for the wrong person. Like, you can get hot and nice. They're out there.
Yeah.
But don't get hot and mean. Hot and mean is not fun. Then you get Amber Heard.
Yeah. And then you end up in
hot.
the trial.
Yeah. You can be deceived by perfect symmetry.
So you don't think it's a good idea to record your partner?
I think you should record all conversations. The CIA's doing it no matter what. I assume that every conversation I have is recorded because I'm pretty sure it is.
Even when we had dinner with Alex Jones, he was recording.
Yeah.
I still remember that.
I didn't know that was recording.
He might, you know what? It'd be funny if he is the CIA plan.
He could be.
That'd be the
but that's my advice about relationships: is be somebody, and then also find someone who you can grow with, right? You don't want to be with someone who doesn't share your values. You don't want to be with someone who makes excuses. You don't want to be with someone who's lazy or who's spiteful. You want to be with someone who's like genuinely kind. That's one of the things that I really love about my wife. And she's very smart and she works hard. She's a dedicated, disciplined person. But she's also really nice. That's one of the things I like the most about her. She's so nice. She's always smiling.
And that energy is great.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen us together.
Yeah.
You've hung around with us. She's fun.
Yeah.
She's a lot of fun.
Yeah, she makes you just feel great to be alive.
Yeah.
It's good to have people like that around you.
She's happy. She's a happy person. She's happy to be around. That's the kind of people that you could have in your life as friends and as co-workers and as lovers and wives and husbands. You can find those people. They're real. And when you find those people, your life is better. Like, to have a good tribe is very important. To have a good tribe of people, you know? And I think if there's anything that I'm very, very fortunate about, it's the people that I'm around. So valuable to have quality people around you because it makes you want to do better, because you admire the hard work these people put in, like Cam Haines or Goggins or many of my friends, and people that are generous and people that are curious and people that are honest. They inspire you to do the same, and it's extremely valuable. It's one of the most valuable things is to surround yourself with positive, healthy, friendly, generous people.
Find some difficult shit to do, because that gets away a lot of the anxiety that you carry around in your body. A lot of difficult things make regular life less difficult. And that sounds so simplistic, but particularly physically difficult things. Because when you do things that are physically difficult, the strain of making yourself do those things, it's very valuable. It's not just valuable like exercise and fitness and martial arts and running and whatever you're doing that's really difficult. It's not just valuable in terms of like health and the way you look, but it's also valuable for your mind, maybe even more so. Because regular life can be confusing, and little things that go wrong and little problems that arise are exacerbated by the fact that you're not accustomed to dealing with hardship. So creating your own bullshit, whether it's through fucking some brutal kettlebell exercise or running up hills or something, is extremely valuable for you also, not just accepting the nuanced perspectives of other people, but also being able to navigate through this world with some sort of an understanding of just how complex it all is and how weird it all is, and not be overly thrown off by every little dip in the road and pothole that you encounter. That's the real message. The real message is we all started from nowhere. I mean, we all had bullshit jobs. We all felt like losers. But through time and effort, you build a stronger human. You build a stronger body. You build a stronger mind. You build accomplishments and will and momentum. And then you look back and you go, hey, man, I'm not washing tables anymore. You know, I'm not washing dishes. I'm not cutting lawns. I'm not digging ditches.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a different person now, but I used to be. That's the hardest part, right? Is to get out of that rut. When you ain't got shit and there's nothing going on, to have faith then is so difficult. To have faith when you're successful, it's like, yeah, listen, bitch, you've been successful for a while. Of course you got faith.
Yeah,
just keep doing what you're doing.
Easy.
It's like you already got up the hill. Now you're just coasting. You know, you're just rolling down the hill. Everything's great. The hard part is getting up that fucking hill, especially if you got a dad you're hiding from, especially if you feel like you're a loser, or you never really had anything in your life that you could look back on and say, hey, I was really good at that. You know, and there's a lot of people out there listening to this. There's so many people that are in that starting point. Like the people that come up to you and say, I don't know what to do. What should I do? How do I do it?
Yeah.
How do I get going? But you're going to have to figure it out, one foot in front of the other. You're going to have to find a thing and keep working at it and get better at it. That's one of the things that I like so much about martial arts. They let anybody in. And then from learning how to do that, you get better. And then you realize, damn, I can get better at anything.
The desire to get better.
Yeah, that's for everybody. Just find a thing.
Everything.
And if you find a thing, like particularly martial arts, because you get belts and ranks, and then you can see how you're doing with opponents. But if you could just find a thing and work hard at that thing, you'll realize through that thing But you can get good at anything with time and effort. There's been many days where I didn't want to work out. I just didn't feel like I had the energy, and I just forced myself. And I think there's very few people out there that know how to force themselves. That's a learned skill. That kind of discipline and focus. You have to have like real rigid requirements of yourself where you don't allow yourself to back out of things and you don't allow yourself to slack off. And I don't think people put those kind of requirements on themselves as if it is a daily principle of life, like what you must get done. You know, you must brush your teeth, you must exercise for 45 minutes. And if you did that, I think you'd be healthier and happier, and your body would perform more smoothly. And if you require your body to do things like that, I think it rises to the occasion. There are very few people that have that kind of discipline. So because of that, they come up with excuses. And excuses are a giant part of the problem. It's not simply a physical health issue. There's also mental aspects of it, and discipline's a big one. I just know way too many people who are weak mentally. And I can't just chalk it off to only, their physical, the way they physically feel, because I felt like shit 100 times, and then I worked out, and then I felt way better. It's just a fact of life. That's real. You just got people don't know how to do that, and it's not. And if you're used to doing this, get in your car, sit down, drive to the office, sit down, go to the lunch, sit down, go to the board meeting, sit down. Get in your car on the way home, sit down. Get home in front of the TV, sit down. Then go to the gym, fuck off. They don't have any energy. Their body's like, I don't have it in me to do this. And I don't believe that. I think it's a lot of it is the mindset. That's really what it is. It's like, I'm sure a lot of it is diet, and a lot of that diet affects their physical health. But there's been many people that have just put their foot down and said, enough. I'm going to change my life. And they don't take any excuses, and they feel way better. Diet is most certainly a part of that, but there's also a discipline aspect. And these things are not mutually exclusive. They exist together. They're all together. And they work symbiotically. The way your mindset affects the choices you make with your diet. And the mindset also affects the choices you make in terms of like whether or not you require yourself to exercise. And I think these are critical aspects that people like to gloss over, or they like to make excuses about. And they get very angry if you don't accept those excuses. And that's a sign that they're trying to enforce this standard and this idea and push it on you and give themselves an excuse. And it's one of the reasons why they get angry. It's one thing if someone has a legit physical issue like you do, but there's a lot of people who do not. They just have poor diet choices, they have a sedentary lifestyle, and they have the momentum of this sedentary lifestyle that's holding them back. They're accustomed to being lazy. To give people this excuse, I don't have the energy to exercise, that is crazy to say. Can you walk to the fucking refrigerator? Yes. Well, you can exercise. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just walk around the block. There's 80-year-old ladies who take yoga with me. They're fucking really old, and they're in there. They're going after it. They could easily say, I don't have the energy to do that. But they don't. It's a mental attitude. They make a decision. You don't have to go to a CrossFit class and try to do the workout of the day. You don't have to go nuts and do clean and presses with 150 pounds. You don't have to do that, but you have to do something. Just get your blood moving. Your body has requirements. It wants to move. It really does. And when it does, you feel better. When you actually do things, you have more success. If you have more success, and sometimes a big part of success is just not being fucking lazy and just doing it. Yeah. That's like 90% of it is just showing up. Get there and start working. Like, you're not going to feel perfect every day. If I only worked out when I felt good, I'd be a fat fuck. Because there's a lot of days I don't want to do it. I mean, it's pretty much the same with everybody that actually gets good at something. There's got to be those days you push through. And they're probably going to be more numerous than the days you don't. And so the benefit of discipline in my eyes has always been that through discipline, I get things done. I always say that I'm like the most lazy, disciplined person I know because I don't want to do it. Yeah. But I always do. One of the big problems is sitting down and doing the work. Mm-hmm. And you got to, and Pressfield talks about that in the most concise and beautiful way. And he labels it like an enemy. He calls it resistance, you know, and that you have to sit down and you have to overcome resistance, and that the pro goes to work. And it doesn't matter if you're sick, doesn't matter if you have kids, it doesn't matter what you're a pro and you go to work. And that just, it puts it in your head that this is what I do. This is what, and you have pride in that. And then when you are in front of that keyboard and you look down at the count, it says, I got 1,000 words today. I put 1,000 words in. You're doing the work. Yeah. And out of that work, gems blossom. Yeah. Little things, but you might have a day where you just write nothing but dog shit. So what? Show up again tomorrow. And tomorrow out of that dog shit, a flower will emerge. You never know. And that's the only way to develop real, like, to really develop your potential 100% in anything, whether it's as an author or even as a martial artist. There's a lot of creativity in martial arts. To be a great striker, you have to be creative, because you have to develop patterns or execute patterns that aren't going to be perceived. This idea that life is hard, something you're supposed to shield from them, it's so silly. And, you know, I've had this conversation with my friends, because everybody that I know that's interesting had a fucked up life. But now we have kids, and the last thing we want is our kids to have a fucked up life. So we put our kids in these good schools, we live in these nice neighborhoods, everybody eats healthy, and there's no fucking domestic violence, and everybody seems, it's so different than all of our lives. And we were talking about it. Me and Brian Callen were actually talking about it. Like, look, we all had fucked up childhoods, and everybody we know had fucked up childhoods. And they're all interesting, but I don't want my kids to be boring, but I also want them to be safe. So it's like, how do you approach that? I mean, I think you get involved. This is what I've chosen to do, is get my kids involved in martial arts and give them the opportunity to pursue difficult things, and understanding that through pursuing these difficult things, like in accomplishing stuff, like you learn something about yourself. You learn that you have this ability inside of you to overcome. Get obsessed with life improvement. Find things that you enjoy doing that are difficult. Do them and get better at them. It seems so simplistic. It seems like a ridiculous, idealistic point of view, but it's effective. For some people out there that aren't feeling good, man, if you just fucking struggled more, you get over that struggle, you feel better. It sounds so simplistic, but I swear by it. I've felt shitty myself, and then forced myself to work out. And after I get out of there, I'm like, whoa,
100%.
Fucking
it's 100% guarantee.
It's hard for people to break momentum too. Momentum that's good momentum, or momentum that's bad momentum. When I get on a good groove of working out all the time, I feel it. Like after I'm done working out, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to get in there again. I can't wait to work out again. That's the good momentum. But then there's that bad momentum, like you get injured or something like that, and you can't do anything for a couple of weeks, and then to try to get that kickstart that motor up again, it's hard to get momentum. There's a lot of people that are eating shit food, and then by the end of the day, your body's in a crisis.
Yep.
Your body's just processing all this bullshit. And if you're eating a big, bullshit lunch filled with nonsense, like your body's got to process all that stuff. And so at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to lose your willpower. So like when 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock rolls around, you're going to be tired. But if you have a healthy lunch, and you know you're properly fueled, and then you also have positive people in your life, everyone's motivated, by the end of the day you're going to feel good. Whatever the fuck your thing is, just go and do it. Just force yourself to do it. And if you feel like shit because you ate lunch, then your lunch was, filled with bullshit, well then, hey dummy, don't eat shitty lunch tomorrow. Tomorrow try a nice salad. Yeah. Try a salad with some salmon and see how you feel then. You're like, hey, I feel way better today at 6 o'clock. Duh. Yeah. Now your decision making will be better. Like people don't understand how significant it is. Like all these little decisions, those are like that's the path for the rest of your existence on Earth. And if you decide to go to fucking Cheetos chocolate chip cookie route, you're just making a shit path. You're carving your fucking path through broken rocks and glass, and it's not the way to go. You know what else doesn't exist in a day-to-day life? A place where it's okay to be a man. It's actually okay to be a man. It's okay to have man thoughts. Like everybody is so toned down and neutered. It's like human resources and corporate life has watered down people's natural behavior to the point where people are just dying on the inside, sitting in these fucking cubicles, rotting, just freaking the fuck out, having all these thoughts they can't entertain, having to pretend to be someone they're not all day long, putting on this bullshit way of talking, this fake way of thinking. Everybody's got to subscribe to whatever fucking ridiculous policies their company wants to enforce. And you're just a robot, and you get out of there and you just want to scream. Most people, their associations are to avoid anything that's uncomfortable. But it's so illogical, because when you look at comfort and you look at success and progress and the feelings of accomplishment and of getting past certain hurdles in terms of like how you feel about life, a lot of those are connected to discomfort. Like, discomfort is your friend. It really is. Like, discomfort and not being happy and content with certain situations in life or certain feelings in life, they're massive motivators, and they're amazing at facilitating change. And yet our instinct is to avoid those and just sit on the couch and watch some fucking reality show about dudes who make moonshine with our jaw open, like, it's bizarre. And for me, at least, when I get like really disciplined and really I get really consistent with my workouts, one of the things that I almost feel momentum. I feel like there's like a push behind me, like, all right, like after I get out of the gym, I have a really good workout. I'm like, yeah, now I'm doing it. I'm doing it all the time now. And I'm looking forward to the next time. And it makes that resistance much weaker, and it makes my motivation and my discipline much stronger. I think a lot of it is based on just the consistency. You're eating potato chips and you're drinking soda, and your body is just like, what in the fuck is this? We're supposed to be out in the fields. We're supposed to be walking up hills. We're supposed to be looking for animals or gathering vegetables. We're supposed to be doing all these things that our body's designed to do. We're supposed to be in nature. Yeah. And nature is like a medicine. Like, it literally is a medicine to you. Like, people that go... You don't have to go hunting. You don't have to go fishing. Just go fucking hike, man. Just go hike up to the top of a mountain and look out. You know, there's a reward that you get from that is intensely, like, soul-filling. Mm-hmm. There's, like, something about, like, when I was in Colorado, and there was this area of Boulder where you drive up one of these roads, and there was this area where you could park. And it was this incredible view, man. And these people just park and just go out there and just look. But you get there and you park and you go...
What is the meaning of life, according to Joe Rogan?
I do not think there is a meaning. I think there's many, many meanings of life. I think there's a way to navigate life that's enjoyable. I think it requires many things. It requires, first of all, it requires love. You have to have loved ones. You have to have family. You have to have friends. You have to have people that care about you, and you have to care about them. I think that is primary. Then it also requires interests. There has to be things that stimulate you. Now, it could be just a subsistence lifestyle. There's many people that believe and practice this lifestyle of just living off the land and hunting and fishing and living in the woods, and they seem incredibly happy. Yeah. And there's something to be said for that. That is an interest, right? There's something, and there's a direct connection between their actions and their sustenance. They get their food that way. They're connected to nature, and it's very satisfying for them. If you don't have that, I think you need something that is interesting to you, something that you're passionate about. And there's far too many people that get sucked into living a life where you're just doing a job. You're just showing up and putting in your time and then going home, but you don't have a passion for what you're doing. And I think that's a recipe for a boring and very unfulfilling life.
You mentioned love. If you could just backtrack, we talked about the demons and the violence in there somewhere. What's the role of love in your own life?
It's very important, man. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in helping people. I'm very interested in people feeling good. I like them to feel good. I want to help them. I like doing things that make them feel like, oh, you care about me. Like, yeah, I care about you. Yeah. I really do. Yeah. Like, I want people to feel good. I want my family to feel good. I want my friends to feel good. I want guests to feel good about the podcast experience. You know, I'm a big believer in, as much as I can, to spread positive energy and joy and happiness and relay all the good advice that I've ever gotten. All
the things that I've learned, and if they could benefit people, and I find that those things benefit people, and that actually improve the quality of their life or improve their success or improve their relationships, or I'm very happy to do that. That means a lot to me. The way we interact with each other is so important. It's one of the reasons why, like, if someone gets canceled or you get publicly shamed, it's so devastating because there's all these people that all this negative energy coming your way, and you feel it. As much as I like to pretend that you're immune to that kind of stuff, and some people do like to pretend that, you feel it. There's a tangible force when people are upset at you, and that's the same with loved ones or family, or anytime someone's upset at you. Whether it's a giant group of people or there's a small amount of people, that has an impact on you and your psyche and your physical being. So the more you can spread love and the more love comes back to you, you also create this butterfly effect, right? Because where other people start recognizing, like, oh, you know, when he's nice to me, I feel better, and then I'm going to be nicer to people. And when I'm nicer to people, they feel better, and I feel better, and it spreads outward. And that's one thing that I've done through this podcast, I think, is I've imparted my personal philosophy on in kindness and generosity to other people. So as far as like the meaning of life, that's a big. Without that, you have nothing. You know, one of the biggest failures in life is to be extremely successful financially, but everybody hates you. Everybody hates you, and you're just miserable and alone and angry and depressed and sad. You know, when you hear about rich, famous people that commit suicide, like, wow, you've missed the mark. You got some parts right, but you put too many eggs in one basket. You put too many eggs in the financial basket or the success basket or the accomplishment basket, and not enough in the friendship and love basket. And there's a balance to that. And when I talked about the violence and all that stuff, like that to me is me understanding and recognizing that is me trying to achieve that balance. It's to like go kill those demons so that this boat is level. You know, because if it's not, then the boat is like this, and then everything's all fucked up, and every time we hit a wave, things fall apart. Balance that boat out, figure it out, like know who you are. Some people don't have that problem at all. Some people, they could just go for walks and they're cool as a cucumber. I need more. You know, I need kettlebells. I need a heavy bag. I need the Echo bike, you know, the air assault bike. I need some hardcore shit. And if I don't get that, I don't feel good. So I figured that out too, and that makes me a nicer person. That makes my interactions nicer. It changes the quality of my friendships, my relationships with people.